Ladies and gentlemen, says Adams, the 29th of August 2016, and this is again a short series on a theme. We are dealing with a real psychological profile. This is rooted towards NSA, towards the NSA, the USA, and by the way, CIA or other special forces that might be interested. It is related to my situation, which is the situation of a person who has been thoroughly abused, tortured, persecuted for years now. We have reached the point where the real person seems to be gone, as far as the documentation is concerned, and there is false data all around. What's more, the people in power, not only in Poland but also elsewhere, seem to insist on the false data being there. One of the key problems is the total opposition between the virgin and the prostitute. I am the virgin. For some reason, they want to turn me into a prostitute, and they want to convince the whole world that I am a prostitute. One of the um, measures taken to achieve that purpose is merging me with prostitutes. This is a real trauma. This is torture, ongoing torture. It starts when I wake up, ends when I fall asleep. However, I'm also woken up at night, and the torture continues. Only it has different forms sometimes. Obviously, the situation is extreme. I am a totally innocent person. The accumulation of lies is terrorizing. Some people try to claim that they are trying to make me adequate, that is, make me meet social conventions. This is totally out of place. This is about breaking a person. This is an individual that has been attacked by a totalitarian system. I am being made to believe that the totalitarian system, that means the force, is coming from Russia. However, not a word the Polish president says can be trusted anymore. And the mob that I hear is obviously either empowered by or simply protected by the President of Poland, the Prime Minister, and the people in power. It is more than obvious that if they wanted to protect me from the harm done by whoever, the President of the United States, the President of Russia, or the civic platform in Poland, not to mention the mob or Assange, they would have found a way, or at least they would have called me to ask if there is any way in which they can relieve the situation. The situation is such that they should actually take responsibility and care to the point of making it possible for me and my mom to go and live elsewhere. So if Poland is not able to block the president of the USA or the president of Russia, if that is the case, if this is where the problem starts, or Julian Assange, or the anonymous Alan, or whoever else, the Satanists, Metallica, or I don't know, whoever else, Doda, Rihanna, Dior, Anya Rubik, the Illuminati, a Paris association that has something to do with Madeline, whoever else. Then it is their duty, because it is them who have developed the situation to that point through her total incompetence and lack of professional ethics. It is their duty to make sure that me and my mom can find a shelter elsewhere. That means providing logics, providing a possibility to work, not prostitution, because if you offer me prostitution as a challenge, you are actually committing a crime. And the conditions of life that are comparable to the conditions I had before I was attacked in 2009. So this is the situation. And now, in that context, I am recording this series of recordings, major series of recordings belongs to this particular Vimeo site that is Agnieszka Roy, the information channel. And this channel is supposed to serve this very purpose, to be the information channel. I'm talking about all sorts of things. I'm talking about them in my way, mostly spontaneously. I just made one recording that had my notes to accompany it, because I wanted also to show that this is also something I can do, that is, I can do it in 30 minutes and then elaborate on the ideas for another half an hour. Overall, this is me, and I am a noble, good person. I am the person who should have been protected before anyone else, because people like me are very rare. And if you have a treasure like that, it is a national treasure that you have to protect. Now, obviously, it can look differently from the perspective of different countries. After all, I have been investing in Poland, so that's quite natural that I can have higher expectations. Yeah. But on the other hand, if you are the nation, the people that claim certain values, then obviously I can tell you, practice what you preach. So, where were we? We were in the primary school, and I mentioned in my last recording that there's a situation about the dog I wanted to tell you about. And it has to do with me and my brother, my stepbrother, going to the village. Well, doesn't matter where, for vacation, for a holiday. So we were staying in a house, and it was very primitive. Like you know, you didn't have the toilet, you had to go to where the cows were, and it was really very, very primitive on the whole. And there wasn't much activity there apart from the village life. So there was a dog there, and he was on a chain. And well, I was just walking around, didn't have anything to do, so I just went to talk to him. And I sat on a piece of wood and was talking to him. I was talking, and he was barking. "Oh!" And finally, at one point, I was courageous enough to go and start, what do you call it? Well, I approached him and started communicating with him directly. I then took a piece of a stick and started throwing it, and he would go for it and bring it to me. I don't know how he knew that that's exactly what you do. Probably it was genetic or maybe he had the talent of mind reading. Anyway, we were playing like that for some time, and we became friends. He really welcomed me with joy. One day, the man living in the village, the owner of the dog, saw us. He was in terror, because it turned out that the dog was so fierce that even he could not approach him, and when he wanted to feed him, he had to use the stick to give him the food and then to take it back. And the dog was very, very aggressive. So this is one of the stories of my life. You know, the kind of relationship you have with the world, the kind of relationship you have with life, and how you deal with it. The primary school. I told you some of the story of the situation. Now let me tell you something about my life. So normally I would wake up in the morning, and when I was in the fourth grade, I think we got a dog. His name was Bingo. He was a poodle. So in the morning I would take him for a walk. And well, originally it was me and my brother taking him for a walk, but then we had plans that it was my turn to take him for a walk in the morning. Then I would go to school. After school, I would usually hang around for a while with my friends, and then come back home. I would eat dinner. My mom would always prepare dinner, so we only had to warm it. When I was younger, it was my brother who warmed it for both of us. Later on, I could warm it for myself, warm it up, and sometimes I had to do something like to prepare the potatoes, but these were really little things. And my duty was doing my homework. So the way my mom brought me up was that this is my duty. She goes to work and I go to school. So you know, this is like work. You don't. You actually, this is your duty, and that's it. You don't question it. And it was the first thing that I was to do. So we didn't have anything like, okay, so now I'm going to play and I will do my homework in the evening. No, that was what you do first, and then you can go out and play. Another thing that we were brought up with was that we come back. That when we come back home, we change our clothes. So we have the clothes that we wear at home and the clothes that we wear outside. And well, from the perspective of time, I'm not sure if you should not be elegant at home too. But you know, if you are not too rich, for example, the situation I have now, it really saves your clothes. And then, if you are rich, you can always buy some superb clothes that you wear at home. But you have those elegant dresses for going out, or maybe it's not the best idea. Anyway, it was workable for sure. It gives you some kind of discipline. And what else? Well, I was not supposed to hang my things around. It changed when I could live on my own, and you know that there was always my room was not tidy in those times. I always had this problem with my mom and her museum order. I called it a museum order, but you know, this is at one point when you grow up, you reach a certain level. So I still have my priorities. So, for example, if I am, you know, when I'm working now like that, when I have to make a recording, obviously it's more important than I don't know, cleaning the floor in the kitchen, for example, or where there are, you know, like some pieces of bread over there on the floor and doesn't look nice indeed, and there's some dust over there on the lamp, for example. So no, my mom comes and goes, outrageous, and okay, well, obviously she's right. I need to clean it, but you know, I mean, you know, my life is in danger. I have been being raped every single day. She's talking about the dust on the lamp. This is ridiculous. So you know, this is the idea on the whole. However, you are actually brought up to know that this is expected from you. So you know that when you live with someone else, this is different when you live on your own. But you know that if you live with someone else, you somehow need to, well, either you will be in trouble all the time because you will have disagreements, or you will just somehow, you know, click it and then just do it without bothering too much. I mean, this is quite funny when I think of it, like then, like you had this kind of revolt because you're supposed to take the rubbish out. Oh my God, what a problem you have to take a rubbish out. And then, when I think of it now, what's the problem with taking the rubbish out, for goodness sake? But, from the perspective of a child, it looks different. However, this is actually rooting you into the thinking of having some duties at home and it being normal, being a routine. So we had such things too, which is good. But apart from that, we had some tough discipline that I did not like too much. Anyway, and normally, as soon as I was ready with my um, homework, I would go out and I loved playing with the volleyball. It was not exactly playing volleyball, it was, playing in a circle with my friends and spending time with them. But that was the joy. And I also had some special extracurricular lessons classes, like playing volleyball, for example. I was on a school team, so I would also go to school to practice that. And I would go to church to play table tennis. I mentioned the discotheques. At home, I would also sometimes dance to Dirty Dancing. That was the movie that was very famous at the time. So I would practice there in front of the this elegant dance in front of the TV screen. Um, we had a computer at so you were collecting diamonds actually. I had no connection with oral sex then, it was a long time. It was only when they started visiting in March that I got the first connection between diamonds and oral sex. I mean, the torture was unthinkable, and still is. Not right now, but it's like this is not happening at the moment, but it can be happening in any time. So, what else can I say? Oh yeah, I had some terrible habit. At the time, you did not have to pay for every phone call you make, so I would take a phone call people. This was like so idiotic. When you think of some things that you do as a child, you sometimes find it very difficult to recognize yourself. Another thing that I remember was we had, apples, a lot of apples on the balcony. And this is unthinkable because we were living on the ninth floor. So with my friend, it was my idea, of course. Take the apple and throw them at people coming back from school, especially at those boys that we liked the best, which is stupid because when it goes from the ninth floor, if it happened so that we would hit them, they would probably die. So, your favorite boy would die. So this is like really, really idiotic. And what else? The crazy ideas. Not much. Anyway, I would spend my time listening to music. There was the fun radio. I would listen to the third program, the third national radio program. There was a chart there, so I would record songs that I liked, and I would also make sure that I have, every chart written up. So I remember the names of the bands and of the singers. And the names of the songs, and I could recognize them easily. That was very important, this was vitally important. If I was not able to listen to the chart, my friend would bring me the chart, all this noted down because I had to have the record. I mean, this is like, it's impossible not to have it. This is like, the world ends. So I also had this idea that my friends at school should vote. So it was like, okay, vote. And I was going from one person to another to make them vote. there's one of the things that I noticed already then is I told you that I had this dog thing, and he was a puddle, but he was aggressive. He was very courageous. So he would sometimes attack even German shepherds. And I remember one situation when I was with my friend with boys, and the dingo started fighting with this German shepherd. And you know, it was just so typical. It was not them who, you know, jumped to take them apart. It was me. So I already then I had this courage, and I think this is quite significant because that you know that is I'm a woman. My womanhood is very very strong. However, factually, in terms of courage, in terms of balance, this is the experience I have with men. So I tend to you know have a sense of this is why you know I'm not easy in terms of like it's not easy to win my heart. I mean, I fall in love a lot, but you know, to have me as a woman, as a partner, it's extremely difficult. So, you know, whatever you have been told is a pack of lies. I had one boyfriend in the primary school, but that was a stupid situation because you know he was what do you call it? Oh, I forgot the name, the assistant at the mess, the no, it's not a servant actually. Well, you know, the boys dress nicely who served at the holy mass. So he was one of them. And actually, I was in love with Grzesiek Filipowski, but you know, I was saying that I was in love with this other boy, and it was for the fun of it. I don't know what sort of fun it was supposed to be, but anyway, it seemed funny to me at the time. And then they told him, and you know, they started to connect us. So then it was, you know, I could not withdraw, and I'm not sure what it was like on his side. But then I do know that he fell in love because I could feel his heart, and this is very good for me because you know this is the special thing that I haven't and many women do not have. So this is totally mine, and this is mine forever. So you know, really gratefulness for that. However, I will not deliver any blowjobs or accept any blowjob memes or whatever in return. So I want to make it sure that I do not feel obliged or that I owe something or whatever. Anyway, there's a lot of a good thing that has to do with it because it is this idea of how the relationship with a man develops. So you know, you go for walks, and at one point he asks you if he can take you and hold your if he can take your hand and hold your hand, and then this is so moving when he actually embraces you, and you know all those moments become so beautiful, have that meaning, and you actually um, develop the whole relationship in a beautiful way. So your life becomes beautiful, and it's there's a lot of meaning between one scene and the other, so to say. So this is because you know this is very important for me because I have been heavily abused. I have been sexually abused by other men who were manipulating me, and they were manipulating me before I was able to recognize what was going on. So you know, this is like you know, this is a choice. So he was the first one, and you know, he was really wonderful because he was listening to my first poetry. It wasn't very good. I was sensitive, so you can sense the sensibility. But in terms of poetry, you know, there was a lot of how to say it. Not that it was pretentious. It was simply not quite, not quite, not quite whatever. But you know, but he was supportive. He would listen to it, and some images somehow stayed with me. Like you know, I had this image of a forest and the birds and you know the streets or whatever. These are simple things that at one point when you get into the on the right plane, you can develop into your own poetry, but you still have the sentiment from the years there in the past, which is fresh, which is beautiful, because this is those first little poetic moments caught and somehow anchored in the overall composition of life. It takes a very high level to understand how it all works, but it does. And especially if there's a lot of noise, as we live nowadays. What else can I say that really matters as far as this relationship is concerned? I don't know, perhaps exactly that it was, non-sexual in the sense of no one expecting the other side to do this or that okay, so now let's move a step forward so that I would have an orgasm. This is this is so low level, and this is so pathetic, this is so vulgar, and the level of the beast, really. And then you have this home atmosphere, actually getting to know his mom and being at his home. It's like, remember, like, looking from my window to see his window. So this is a really positive experience that stays with you for the rest of your life. Of course, there had been some. I mentioned this boy from my classmate, with whom I would go, to, for walks with his hamster. His hamster was the main attraction. But this is like because at one point I did publish my love story. So my main point was. It was the time when Marek Zuber appeared, and I was on the verge of dying then. And he had to, he was on TV, and from his heart there went this stream of energy, which was my energy. So, and I didn't know then that what they did was that they carried off to put it into Alexandra Kicza's space, to put it into her body, and that they actually merged me with Alexandra Kicza. So then, when I was watching other recordings, I realized that he was merged with Alexandra Kicza actually. So this is probably how it went. It was mine. They put it onto her and into her, through her, and through her it probably reached him and became his. And where on earth? He has no right to it. Because to have that sort of energy, you have been working up for it for ages. This is incarnation after incarnation, and this is this is not like that. This is very very Eastern, and it combines with your whole world. So this is like a fourth sign, really. But I saw it then, and I thought that he was the man to whom it went when I sent it out. And this is why I responded very positively to his appearance, especially that I liked him very much when I got to know about his existence through Radio Talk FM in 2006. However, then the situation was developing, and I realized that he was actually one of those, that he was actually creating this blowjob vibration in my mouth, brought by merging with Alexandra Mishtal, or perhaps other people, perhaps himself, perhaps someone else. It's quite difficult to establish in the mess. There's Alexandra Kicza obviously present. I had not been aware of any that sort that I could feel this blowjob atmosphere around me, but they had no access to my thought. And through what happened with this creation of the sexual space, which I mentioned at the beginning of my previous recording, and with this Mariusz Rakoczy's penis hit into my throat, then you know they got access to it, and you know they were doing all sorts of things, like you know all sorts of routers put into my throat and even down to my stomach. So as I said, I'm just repeating it so that you would have the context. And Marek Zuber was actually participating in it. So, you know, it was, at first I thought that he was a victim of it. And I didn't know why he appeared at all. So, you know, but then I realized, and then I also saw his pictures in Google. And you know, then I started having people like Anna Grodzka merged with me. Or I had the name Artur Marek, the, you know, someone I don't know at all. And there was, for some reason, I connected him with one of the pictures that is in the category of Marek Zuber when you Google it. But I don't know if it's the right connection, it's just what came to my mind. You know, why? I mean, I never had anything to do with people like that. This is not my kind of person at all. I mean, you know, I can accept him if we, you know, we meet somewhere and, you know, this is one of those guys out there, but he has nothing to do with me. And why should he be part of my world? And why should he match with me? And why should I have his memes in my throat? Because this is what actually has been done to me. And the worst thing of all was Piotr Urbanek, my stepfather, being merged with Marek Zuber. And then you get the idea, what the hell, what's going on? I mean, you know, you really get this idea of you could easily go into a sort of paranoia because, you know, this is like, oh my God, what's going on? But then you think, well, actually, they live in the same place, more or less, because Marek Zuber is my brother, my stepbrother's age, so they could, well, they surely went to the same school unless he went to some other school. And perhaps they even went to the same class, perhaps they even attended the same class. So it becomes slightly less weird, but then why on earth? And why should Piotr Urbanek appear in my life? And then I get like, you know, Piotr Urbanek connected to my heart. So, oh my God, why? I mean, this is, you know, this is direct sexual abuse. This is direct harassment because this is the person who created a trauma in my life. So this is a criminal who victimized someone, and now the victim is merged with him, and the person can abuse me further. And you know, I protest, and nothing happens. And obviously, each of us knows that I have been under surveillance. So special forces of a few countries know perfectly well what's going on in my life because they note every single trace. Whether it's official or not, I have a fire in a few countries, and these are superpowers. So what the hell is going on? And this is the context. This is the development. So you know, this connects with this boy out there that is a sign of some normality that used to be, and now you have like, oh my God, what it is, you know, total devastation, total harassment. So he was this one boyfriend, and then I had another boyfriend at the university. And then I had a boyfriend in England, so I need to mention him too. It was quite a shocking development. It had to do with the disappointment in my boyfriend. I was very disappointed in him not making it to cross the British border. I know it's stupid, but I really felt very uncomfortable about it. Like, you know, that he should have made it somehow, and he didn't. And then he went to France, and on the whole, something went wrong. And I don't think he was faithful to me when he was in France, to be honest. But probably that's why this boyfriend appeared. The second boyfriend appeared in England. But you know, I informed him so he knew about it. Probably he was totally outraged because this boyfriend was quite old and belonged to the working class, and I feel quite uncomfortable about him on the whole. But I was with him for totally different reasons than people think, because I create totally different relationships. And obviously, we didn't have an intercourse, and I never gave him oral sex, because I have heard that I gave him oral sex, something like that. Actually, yesterday night I heard that he left me some inheritance or something like that, that I'm an heir to some of his money, but someone has stolen it, and it was I'm not quite sure if it was Diane Cohen from the pub, or it was Maya Rostovska, because we all know that Maya Rostovska is responsible for all that has gone wrong in my life. Maya Rostovska is responsible for a lot, however, not for all. And by the way, yes, I'm going to check it. I'm going to check, because I had this thought some time ago, but this is like, I will, at one point I will have to contact the British authorities officially, because I need the British authorities information on the information they have received officially from the Church of Scientology regarding me, because it has to do with possible legal processes which might include the Church of Scientology. The point is, Tom Cruise, I guess it was Tom Cruise, because my papers were moved from the St. Hill org in UK to a homosexual organization. I have nothing to do with homosexuality, so why should it be moved there? And no one had asked me for my consent. So this is totally illegal. So I'm going to sue the person who did it. And I guess this is Tom Cruise. So this is the nature of my planned action against Tom Cruise, and we shall see what else has been done to ruin my life. Obviously, a heterosexual person in the homosexual environment feels like dying, and this is very, very suppressive, obviously. So this is totally illegal within the ecclesiastical law of the Church of Scientology too, not only within the whatever international legal agreements. Obviously, no one can make decisions about my spiritual, my religious membership for me in the Western world, in the Western civilization. So that would be it as far as boyfriends go. So this is one information. Another information I was asked would be actually the information about this boyfriend, because it is possible he might have left me at least a letter if he had died, and if he and well, it is quite important to know, because this was when I was with him. He was not doing to me the things that have been done to me by the working class later on. He would have never treated me like that. This is totally out of place. He wanted to marry me. He actually asked me to marry him. He had a plan. We were to have a pub, and he was to be responsible for the pub, and I would make pierogi, and I was to have this little place where I would be taking care of children. So that was his idea of our marriage. What I liked about him, what I liked about him was what he was giving the people when he was entering the pub. He was a total uplift. I mean, when he entered the pub, he had this leadership, charisma. He was ugly. Let's be honest about it, and he was old. But he when he entered this pub, everybody there was like, you know, looking and oh, how was cheers, and there was one when I remember he would always say tickety boo. And on the whole, the pub was quite a place. I think I will use it as an inspiration one day. For some reason it connects with clutching at straws for me. But then you have this atmosphere, this man who was in prison. Probably I am the person whom he would kill today and go to prison for killing her because of those problems of mutual insults that I went into due to having been attacked. I'm a virgin and I was offended. So I said, okay, so then you are a whore. So then I was, I was attacked by the people standing, ranks to defend the whore. And no one was defending the virgin. What's more, they were working hard to turn the virgin into a whore. So this is the situation, more or less. So, but even then, he didn't like me. He really didn't like me then. But because I would go there and sit, at my table, and I would write. So I would write my diary or write letters to Rafa, my boyfriend, and sitting there looking. No, I'm just kidding. Right now, because I think he was met with me too. Or he went from perhaps this is why I have this is why the criminals have my face sometimes. But he was ugly too. But he was a big man. He was really the man who would kill you if if you do something he doesn't like. He was a kind of man that I would not be surprised, if he arrived here in Poland one day to take this piece of proper concrete and treat me with it for calling some Alexandra Kitcher. Oh, wow, how dare you? Well, because she is a whore, from my perspective. I mean, if it is a shame to be a virgin at the age of 20, my God, at the age of 40, this is, complete disgrace. I should, hide in some hole and never put my nose out. So, excuse me, but you are a whore, that's all. Only a whore can have such an attitude. So, as I'm saying, Alexandra Kitcher is a whore. Apart from, fucking with the stripteaser on the first date. To get rid of her shameful virginity. So, I hope I will survive. Bear in mind, Abu al-Baghdadi understood me, and I do believe the spirit of protest, whatever the form, we may depart in the form, but the spirit of protest against the whorehood superimposed on the culture that is higher is the spirit he does understand, and is the spirit he wanted to have in the caliphate, even if his soldiers were not sacred, and I don't know if he was, were no saints, and even if he, whatever his life story was. Actually, I was wondering if he was guilty when he went to prison, but this is a totally different question. So you have your connections, I have mine, and let's move on to say a bit more about the spread ones we have dropped in. So what else? Aha, exactly that guy. So because this is an important boy, no, I was right. So he said to me, "You are from IRA." He really believed it. So I must have had this kind of air, like something there being there, something there being wrong, something, like some agent and so on, which probably has led me finally to, me talking directly to the NSA or CIA or whatever with an ease. Whether you like it or not, either get into the frequency where we can communicate what we want. I don't have much choice, as I wrote in my Twitter. It's either the torturer that dies or the torturee. I'm the torturee. I'm being tortured. So I do not have a choice. Well, there were actually, there were some other things connected with the public. There was a few other things that I could talk about, but I won't at the moment. So, in case I were not able to cover the topic, because right now I have, I think, around 3 hours altogether of space. Then I will have to take a break until I have space available again in Vimeo. Just to anchor it, this is the second year of my studies. So let me count it. 89 was when I started my high school education, 4 years, so that would make it 93. Around 1995, more or less. And as for the Stephen, my boyfriend, you must know that he actually changed my attitude to Lech Wałęsa. So, because I was this student of the Jagiellonian University, English philologist, which was very high, with having this attitude of not really look. Well, no, actually, at that time, I did look down on some people. That's correct. Let us correct it. At this point, yes, I did have this that. Someone, for example, some other students, very good students, because such students usually get the best marks. They have very good marks because they are in the system. So, they, if they write an exam, they write what the examiner likes to write because they write, they answer with the knowledge they were supposed to obtain by the examiners standards. And so they are normally very good students, but I always had this this lack of originality and this being so conventional, and this is so sorry, that's the truth. I did have it. But then I started appreciating them more. But I must say it honestly, they are making careers at the university, and I always have this sense of at this point where I am now. This is why I am not liked, because I really say it. I mean, this is this tells you something about the university. These are the people like me who should have been promoted and valued, really, because the people like me create breakthroughs. But on the other hand, there are people who make sure that the system operates well. So I started to, I have, indeed, I have understood it, and I have started appreciating it. But I do have a sense of superiority. So, you can say, well, they have wonderful lives, no one bothers them, they have silence, they have children, they have husbands, they have respect, they have friends, people obey them, people listen to them attentively, people like them, people love them. They have so many publications, and you have achieved nothing, right? So you are, everybody hates you, and basically you can talk to yourself, pretending that you are talking to someone else through your video. So I say, well, fine. On the same, I have a sense of superiority, and I know that it is me who is really doing something great for the world, and basically the world is not good enough to appreciate it. The news, the information I got today was that the NATO has decided that after all they will support Ola, not me. So fine, but then just make sure that you do not use my potential. Use Ola's, not mine. So just cut her off, have her without my heart chakra, without my brains, without my creativity, without my genius, without my life, because obviously you have, installed my life in her makeup. Have her. But then all that is mine is gone. You might have something the same, but make sure that this is yours and not mine. That you have not stolen something that is mine. So you must understand it simply. You must understand it, and that's a conditio sine qua non. You have made a huge mistake. So primary school. As I said, this was the school named after Masha Ivan Konev, and this is actually the truth that my situation has become devastatingly complex because being in Poland, I find it difficult to think outside the axis of the United States and Russia. And the situation of the United States has developed as it has developed. I was matched with Rihanna. I happen to like her, but I will never accept the merger. Never. This is, this is a huge insult, not because it's Rihanna, but because of her attitude to life and sex. So, she may have a personality of her own, but her lifestyle is totally unacceptable. And, this is like, you cannot match a virgin with a whore. Here I'm talking about archetypes, attitude to lovers, attitude to sex, and this is also general attitude to love, really to life, to love and to life, which you actually, how you have developed throughout your life. So, this is unforgivable. But I saw her. She looks so imposing, so well. That flatters me, but as I'm saying, this is impossible because you cannot sacrifice my life for her, and if you try to, you'll be having a war that you cannot imagine what kind of war you'll be having. That will be Armageddon, really. So this is one aspect, the totally ruined relationship with the United States. And on the other hand, there's Russia. And it was developing positively compared to the past. But then, I think at the point when I was merged with Piotr Urbanek, which is exactly the point when I realized that Russia had been my enemy. So we have this weird situation. I mean, I actually like Putin. He knows I like. He knows I like him. But this is outside his political agenda and his likes and dislikes, and the things that he wants to execute and so on. So I'm afraid too. But as I told you, I have decided that well, if the mafia kills me, they kill me. And I have decided. That's all. I'd rather have this. I always repeat. I'd rather have this sample that the agents have. This poison. But anyway, this is, you have a system that you believe in, but this is not my system. I really believe in monarchy. And I don't think that the system you have really takes better care of the poor people and the you know the all the social rational to be upheld than the Buddhist monarchy, for example. So I believe that there are some ills in both systems, and I really believe in individuality. I believe that it is important to take care of your group, obviously, but it is important to make sure that each of the persons in the group has the individuality, because this is really the high potential that that helps the whole group to get rich, simply rich in the sense of life. I'm a very rich person. I don't have cash. I don't have the money to live on. But you know, when I compare myself to Maya Rostowska, who needs to steal my ideas, my God, I'm an empress. And that's it, simply. So you expect you have a different attitude. I mean, there are women in your system who are very powerful, like Tatiana. Uh, I don't remember her name. You know, the Mark. No, yeah, she she's a very powerful woman, but she's a different type of woman, and she's the only woman that I can think of, independent one. What do you call it? The spokesperson for the foreign ministry. She looks very nice too, and you know the wife. The wife is the wife, and the spokesperson is the spokesperson. And I cannot see, like, you know, it, your attitude to me tells me exactly how you treat women, because you don't treat me as a partner. And it's not important that I have not been a politician. You know, how I appeared as a person with some ideas who really wanted this peace between Poland and Russia, and you have proved it totally impossible. But perhaps this is because you do not want the peace, because I have understood the rule of, you know, Putin did mention it, that the optimum state is the state of war. You know, a philosophical assumption. Of course, it can be a statement, that can be a teasing statement. However, if you think of it, you can actually, well, if you look at it from that point of view or from that point of view, but obviously you have proved it beyond the least doubt that you want a war with me. And you have been trying to break me. And I must say that, you know, it doesn't matter whether it's a Scientologist, whether it's an American or whether it's a Russian, or whether it's a Pole. If you try to break me, I perceive you as a weak person, not as a strong one, because it's a mark of weakness, not a mark of strength. So, but I know that your thinking overall is different. So I have a problem, because, you know, this is like in the primary school. When I was in this environment, I was thoroughly suppressed, and now I think that this is exactly the switch you wanted to make in 2009. And you have really devastated my life. You know, all that good intention, because, okay, I have developed this love for Russian, because I love speaking Russian, and you can see it in my recording. This is really a change. I had never had such an ability to Russian, so I'm very happy about it. And this Russia started functioning in my mind differently. Mm, so this is connected with my heart now. But do not make me Russian, because I'm Polish. Okay, I might hate Poland and Poles for many reasons right now, but Poland is more, and I can, say it many times, and I can even say, I'm a Pole, so I have the right to say it because, I'm in a conflict with this country, and the people piss me off like earth because this is like, I don't know, imbecility, blindness, and I don't know what happened to those people, but there's something essentially wrong with them. But this is Poland is more than that. I can say that, well, perhaps when they piss me off, they were pissing me off like in their attitude to Tibet, for example. So I can say, well, actually Krakow would be Austria now, so we would be rich. Why not? What's your problem? But this is between me and Poland. And if Poland tries to kill me, then I answer back. So I can kill Poland, right? All proportions in place. Remember, I was attacked from the level of the summit. The heads of governments, an individual at home, in her bed, a private person. And suddenly, the leaders of the world, the most powerful people of the world, rape you in your own private bed. So get this idea correct. Did the head of Poland say no? Did he declare a war? This is an attack. This is a declaration of war. I'm a citizen of Poland. They may hate me, but I am still the citizen of Poland. This is high treason. So this is one aspect. But and then obviously, if because right now the situation is that it seems, to all appearances, it seems that the person raping me still is President Medvedev, because he has some obsessions. He has gone insane. So he has some obsession that he must execute something from this pole. For goodness sake, he's Russian. So I don't know if this is really President Medvedev or if this is Jarosław Kaczyński pretending it is Mr. Medvedev to create a war, to compromise Mr. Medvedev. Because obviously I am not in favor of that kind of politics. I am honest, direct, straight. Now, you can do your diplomacy through schemes, but I do mine. And either we get into the frequency or we won't. This is what I meant, because I wrote up in Twitter that I am ready to cooperate with the Russian Federation as far as legal cooperation is concerned in that matter, because obviously I need to stop it. And this is not only to make them okay, so they will pause now, and next time I say something they don't like, they will start it again. So no, this is totally unacceptable. It must be solved conclusively and for good. It is totally unacceptable that I am merged with a prostitute. There's a router in my throat, that there are things attached to my body, that I have dead bodies put in my stomach. This is a creation of, well, maybe not in an average person, this creates an insanity. But okay, I'm above this level, so I can not go insane. But this creates an illness. You have shortened my life, I don't know, 10 years, 20. provided I do not commit suicide. So these are serious things, and of course, I must somehow do the study and prepare the case and take it to court. So this is because this is like from the knowledge I have, the person that is to be targeted now is President Medvedev, but it is possible that he has been framed into it. That this is the Polish vengeance. And I will not be part of it because I despise people who play that sort of politics. Even if Russia plays that sort of politics, this is below me. I don't go to that level. This is disgusting. For me, such people are disgusting. Even if I'm saying now to President Medvedev that he is disgusting, then I'm sorry, I'm terribly sorry, but this is disgusting for me, and that's all. This is very low level. And as I'm saying, I will not be part of it. So just to make it clear, because tomorrow I will hear that I am in high treason because I said to President Putin that I will cooperate with him on killing President Duda. I actually plan impeachment because I had been abused by the civic platform, but the problems that started with the law and justice taking over the power are far beyond what has been going on before. So even if this is the civic platform, they have allowed it. And Małgorzata Sadurska was merging with me and giving me her sex experience, creating this sexual space around me. This is totally unacceptable. So as I'm saying, is it slavery? Which is very important because all those things connect with this primary school named after Marshal von Koniev that was working under the auspices, and what happened in that school. When I was in the 5th grade, we were to become members of the Association of Friendship between the Soviet Union and Poland. And I stood up and said that I did not agree. I simply could not accept the friendship, the obligatory friendship. Why should I accept the obligatory friendship? And I believe this is exactly when I became the person of special care for the Soviet Union. I don't know how long Mr. Putin has known me. I don't know how long other people have known me. But I am pretty certain that the Polish dignitaries have known me very well for a very long time. And I am pretty sure that they have done their best to make sure that my life is kept within certain limits, which I don't like. I am Polish. So this is one side of the story. Another side of the story is actually, prior to this protest, I had the protest in the 2nd grade when the nun wanted to make us sing in the church choir. So it needs to be emphasized too that this was the first protest. I said I would not sing in the choir, and she insisted. So I said I could not sing and started singing out of tune. So finally she let me go. Anyway, the Russians did not let me go, and I, for the sense, they have decided not to again. But I was happy when I was a Scientologist. So, I was most happy when I was assigned here doing my volunteer minister course. Then they recruited me for the Sea Org. So this is again, the same mistake because it doesn't work with me. I'm the kind of personality where it doesn't work. I'm the kind of person who, you give me a goal. You are my boss. I respect you, and I mean, you are not right now, but let's assume that I have a boss. Let's assume that Mr. David Cohen has become my boss, okay? And let's assume that I respect him, and we have a goal. So then I start working, and you don't have to break down my neck or check every step I made, because I have this purpose. So wherever he's in the world, I don't care. I will be doing my work because I'm that kind of person. But if you try to root me somewhere without my knowledge and agreement, when you try manipulating me, you will never get any success, because I'm that kind of person. And it never works. And this is the moment when you start losing all, actually. So this is when my problems with the Church of Scientology started, when they rooted me into the Sea Org. Of course, my going through the EPF, through the Sea Org experience, which was very short, because I don't know, I was 6 months on the EPF, so this is like December to May probably, and I was out of the Sea Org in June, so dismissed. But I have really traveled a long way, and thanks to this, I have survived what you have been doing for me. So perhaps it made sense that I did go through this Sea Org training. However, it took me out of my life path. So this is, and when you do it, you just break my trust, and you lose me, actually. But I don't know, maybe overall in time we will work it all. Well, one thing is certain: I am 42, and I wanted to have 3 children. So I'm not sure how you are going to answer this, whichever way we look at it. And I have perfect genes. This is a unique combination. This is a genius. This is a beauty. This is a lot. This is, I know, I believe that personality has to do with the spirit rather than the genes. But the spirit, without your intervention, as I was living up to 2009, would have the spirit of the kind. So, I would be bringing up beautiful people who would be creating a beautiful world. You are really very, very beautiful. So I need to get free. That's what I want to emphasize on that occasion. Whether you are the USA, whether you are Russia, the Russian Federation, whether you are the president of Poland, whether you are the prime minister, whether you are the civic platform, whether you are the mob, whether you are the Church of Scientology that has some idea, whether you are whore, whether you are whatever you are. Because I'm a natural born leader, so this means, and I have this. I belong to the tradition where when you rape the queen, it is not only the person who raped the queen, for example, Mariusz Rakoczy, that has to die. It is the whole village that needs to be burned down to the ground. Understand it. This is my spiritual construction. And you activate it, because this is really my spiritual construction. I mean, not construction. This is my spiritual greed. This is normal for me. I had been living in peace, so it had never crossed my mind before. But trust me, this is really the way I feel about it, the way I live it. So you just leave me no choice. And I really see no point in your attacking me. It's totally nonsensical. It's absurd. Because you have attacked me for no reason at all. apart from your insanity, of course. So back to the primary school, the school itself. I was very good at maths, so the teacher I had, who was a wonderful teacher, has given me a very good start. But then I neglected it in my further education and also in the primary school. I did not have this wonderful um, habit that I have developed later on, or this awareness, namely that the genius, namely that the awareness that the genius has to learn too. So I did not have the knowledge, and I did not have the practice, and in time it has left me with having a difficult start in math now, because I have this sense of ease that it should accompany whatever I do in terms of math, because this is me. This is not my stepfather. My stepfather is an engineer, and I believe, I can say a lot of things about him that are not good, but there are some things that are really good. And he did have the brains, and he did have this engineer mind, so he was good at math. But this is not his, this is mine, because I'm pretty sure he doesn't have a cosmic mind. I'm pretty sure that when he has a look at my Metropolitan Academy development of concepts, for example, the Faculty of Natural and Supernatural Sciences, he won't, he won't get. I think Richard Dawkins will get it. Stephen Hawking might get it, but Stephen Hawking hates me because he had this idea of the black hole, and I came up with the idea of the sun gate. So I happen to be right. So now he's unhappy. I have heard that Stephen Hawking has turned me into a black hole. So that is devastating enough, and I must say Stephen Hawking is very powerful. But I hope the sun will shine through me, and I will be able to overcome it somehow with the extraterrestrial help. I would not be able to overcome it on my own. These are the powers, disproportionate greed. So I don't know. Perhaps I am unfair, but I don't know. Let him check. Let him check. Let him check it, because if he reads it and it's obvious for him, then fine. Then I can take back what I said about him not being my level. But otherwise, yes, I'm saying this. The write-up, the current write-up of the Metropolitan Academy is the level on which I operate. And this has been made easy for me in terms of formulation, thanks to the connection with the Pope Francis, I must say, with whom I'm also angry because he had let this rape happen and he could have prevented it. But this is the sacred connection. So yes, thanks to this, but this is, I formulated it. I developed the idea, and I can talk about it. These are things from my world, because these are the books like for example, some intergalactic journey. This is from the book I have, the popular science book I have been collecting all my life to create my library. The meme is from Mariusz Biedrzecki's Genetics of Culture, and I have like all sorts of about brain, this cognitive science on the one hand, but not only that. Also, I have a book about teleportation. So these are the things I have been interested in for a very, very long time. I have a book that should show our university professor advised us a short book, like you have the essence there on artificial intelligence. and then I saw one on the modern physics, and I bought it. So this is not new. These are things that I have been interested in. It's just I have the sense of, and I have I have a big book over there on physics. So these are the books I have been. These are the things I have been interested in for a long time. But I had a different focus because my papers were the most important, whatever in the world. And this is one thing, and the other thing is that I have corresponds to it because it takes a lot of time to study it or to get up to that point. I mean, when you start from the zero, because then you speed up, obviously, but when you start, it's quite time consuming. And because you have a lot of material, because this is a university level, so, and I don't know, at the beginning of the primary school, probably I can have whatever talent or potential, but I know I have it. But as far as taking this, but on the other hand, I also thought of it that way, that if you go to all that education, you have some knowledge, so you have the proof. I don't have them. I have the direct life experience. So it might be that I don't have the incorrect ideas that could block my perception of physics had I have them, had I had them. So this is a different kind of situation, perhaps. But this is mine. So it is then, this is the comment of me merging me with the people of low mental ability, actually with disabilities, people who take drugs, people who are mentally ill. You have been damaging my brain, and this is a unique brain. Actually, this is okay if the Russian does it. This is an attack on Poland. But if a Pole does it, this is high treason, because you have been destroying the Polish potential. So I do have the right, if you think of it globally in terms of the global potential, I do have the right to apply for the political asylum. And most probably I will, unless my problems in Poland dissolve. But that would take the people who have been trying to destroy me going on to the level where they actually realize, oh my God, I'm an idiot. And, it takes the correct appreciation. And, Mr. Sowiński will always think that his Kasia is, his Kasia and his Anya are the people, and Agnieszka Rojek is, like, forget it, she can suck me. So, this is the attitude of Poland, to put it straight and direct. Now, you're saying that this is the attitude of David S. Cohen of the CIA too? Well, perhaps we need to reform the CIA then. So the basics in maths are one thing. Then, because I have heard it today, that I have not I had this technical mind, and not the humanities, or the other way around, because some time ago I heard it the other way around, that I had the humanities, and it is Maya Rostowska, who be behind the finance, behind the scientific things. It is Maya Rostowska working together with Richard Dawkins, because I don't have disability. I'm the humanities. So now about the humanities. In the primary school, I read. Because of the situation, the home situation I had, which was not too good for me. I was withdrawing more and more. I was very, very shy and withdrawn, actually. So I had the word of my own, my books. So I would read books, and I would read the series Anne of the Green Gables. That is what I got from my dad, and it was developing me as a woman. This is a very good series to develop as a woman, because it gives you the warmth, the beauty, and the womanhood, actually, which is beautiful. But then I heard, I read Shakespeare, the translation by Słonczyński. This is connected with my fascination with those monumental classic movies, the Hollywood movies, the big movies, the costume movies, like Cleopatra, Julius Caesar, or who was the Spartacus. And this is how I started reading Shakespeare, Julius Caesar, and I loved the language. And this is those fun developments in my life. I didn't know who Shakespeare was, so I could not even read his name because it had those, odd letters in it. This is quite funny. This is really funny because I did not read Shakespeare to be that complex. It just I love the text, the language, the beauty. And I read his poems. So then Venus and Adonis, The Rape of Lucretia. Perhaps that is why I was brave, because I read The Rape of Lucretia. But they wanted to give me some Shakespeare. No, this is, a kind of black humor, the tragic one. It is not supposed to make you laugh. It is not supposed to make you think. It is supposed to make you understand the pain. I would read and write. This is another thing. But I would also read poetry. Tadeusz Różewicz. Tadeusz Różewicz had a very serious poetry. This was a fragmented, tragic life that has to do with the Polish history, but it is like, I don't know. And I think that it was the feeling that appealed to me most. But also I had this sense of a perception. At that time I was very much into religion, and I did go to church a lot. One of the reasons were the boys serving at the mass, but once I was there, for example, when we're going through the whatever you call it in English, when Jesus travels with the cross and takes the journey with the cross. And you go from one station to another. So I was really going into it, and actually it was a totally different ritual because I made it ritualistic. I was like living through it, like that Christ taking this. I'm a very theatrical person in the sense of catharsis. So I just go into it and I become it, so to say. So this is how I lived through it. So and this corresponded somehow to that feeling in his poems, even if that was not developed that way exactly. That was very serious, but there was a lot of pain in me somehow too. I don't know why, but I did feel it. I don't know, maybe it was because of those connections in my family. My father was very close to me, and he went to prisons. He never talked about it. He went through the Soviet and Nazi prison, so he must have had a lot of bad experience. And I know that he was about to die in one of them because of typhus and was kicked out into the street. However, he managed to live. And he managed to live and to survive somehow. I don't know anything about my dad actually. He's a very secret person, so to say. but I loved him really. So maybe I will say, oh, about school, what else? But I don't need to say anymore about the school. I can tell something about my teacher. Oh, perhaps two teachers. And let me mention that my post we had a lot of lessons of grammar. It needs to be emphasized. And as far as my Polish teacher goes, the first one, I always recall her because I'm very proud of her and the lessons she gave me. When I sent this, we call it crib or whatever, when you write something up, actually the exercise in maths, the task in maths, you write it up and you solve the problem and you have all the equations right, and it's the result is the final result is written, everything is well, and then you send it, put it on a piece of paper and send it to your friend. So she caught it in our test. And I was responsible for a class then. I was the leader, the class leader, and she dethroned me immediately. But she said that the leader cannot cheat. So this was a lesson for my whole life. And this is like, no, I really honored to have the teacher that had the courage to do something like that when I was in the fourth grade. So imagine the impact. So this is one situation, but then I had another teacher, and with all that aggression that was accumulating in me due to all sort of violence that I was made to deal with, because mm, all sort of abuse creates violence that is boiling inside. So today I would probably be sent to a psychiatrist, or a psychologist who would, see lots of mental disorders in me, which is like there's nothing to do with my life, with my mentality, and with my problems, which are of a totally different kind. And she was able to take me through this primary school. So she was able to discipline me, and I really loved it. I'm not sure I should, but perhaps I should have the exemplary um, in terms of conduct, because on the other hand, we do live in the world that is full of all sorts of violence that goes through us somehow, and then we live on. And I don't know. But one thing is certain. She saved my life in terms of not letting my brain be damaged by drugs or additional intervention. I am pretty certain that there was intervention. Probably what happened in that Russian class where I stood up and said I would not agree to be a member of the association of friendship between the Soviet Union and Holland. That must have been quite a serious revolt. So I must have had some interventions to my brain, but then I would have much more by being sent to a psychiatrist or a psychologist due to the outburst of violence. And then, this is very good that it hasn't been done, because, as I'm saying, the reasons were totally different. And then, I also think that this is what happened between me and Tomek Mauer, because I attacked him for totally inexplicable reason. And it needs to be emphasized that I attacked him only once. We did not have a history of hatred, like I hate you and you hated me. Perhaps he hated me. He must have hated me that very moment. In the fourth grade, I think it was in the fourth grade, or perhaps in the fifth grade. But I beat him up, but it happened only once. You know. And this is completely, obviously this is different from raping someone. Um, And as I'm saying, I can't understand. And one day I did something really terrible, and it was like, I must tell you about this because this is like also something that really, I am subconscious about it. Perhaps this connects with this attack by Czarek Łasiczka. Somehow, but Czarek Łasiczka is not a cat; he's a dog, so I don't understand it. Anyway, this Aunt Lucia from Bielany, she had a cat Czarek, and she had little kittens. And kittens, I remember one cat, and I was taking care of this one cat, and I don't know why I became angry with it because the cat did not like me. I mean, no, I don't know. The cat somehow, I don't know, he did not come. I don't know. There was something, I became so angry, and I actually threw this cat. And then it makes me think of one boy that I know all the time because it returns. It seems like he has some installation in his conduct, in his personality that connects exactly with the type of conduct, with this unthinkable hostility, and like. I never did it to any other animal, so I never had this. I was always, kind-hearted and loved. So I really don't know what happened, but this is like probably it was some kind of takeover. Some was just totally unexplicable. I was a little girl then. But I feel terrible about it. And so this is why those cats are. But I have good relationship with cats now. When I was teaching in the primary school in Lishki, there was a cat. Makes me think so. This makes me think of Julian Assange. It was winter and it was really, really cold, so I took him home. We didn't do anything. He was just sleeping on my bed, and I gave him some milk, and next day he went out. So, um, I feel that my parents were fine as far as kids go. Um, what else? Oh yeah, of course, Gosia, etc. Gosia, etc. You know, the reason why I had a problem with Gosia, etc. was with Datilek, and let's wind it up with that. Anything else? Okay, and what I want to say is that we also had this teacher. Actually, I need to mention the history teacher too. I don't know. I have heard that my history teacher has got involved. I'm just not sure if he has got involved in molesting me or in defending me, or because as far as history teachers are concerned, I would expect a totally different attitude, of full support, because whatever you talk about, whoever you talk about, the history teacher, just as the priest, should live up to the lessons, shouldn't they? And the situation is obvious if you have the awareness. Um, my history teacher, I was wondering because what I was doing. I had this thought because for some time I have been doing that. So let me just say this, and I know that I'm risking, and I'm really scared because I don't know what Russians or Chinese or the Americans are going to do now. But I will give them just this note, or I will write this too, and I will put, or maybe I will write this, and well, perhaps I could just write this. Actually, I had a few days ago, a couple of days ago, oh, the other day, I had this idea that perhaps this is how our history teacher was working too. But I never had a chance to realize it because my awareness was far too low for that. I don't know if it's true or not, but it is quite possible because that's probably the way it worked at the time. As I said, I started my secondary school in 1989, so the primary school was just before. And I wanted to mention my teacher that knowledge of societal, social, how do you call it? Political and social life, something like that. And she talked in class, and she got very angry at me, and she attacked me, and she actually offended me. And I never had any idea of like making a fuss out of it. So this is also like a comment on dealing with in some limits. Probably today I would tell her that she has no right to offend me. I was not devastated with them. Of course, it was very shocking for me, but this is important to emphasize that too. That I'm saying it in the context of Karolina Wachowicz, who had a completely innocent situation with me. Did I already mention it in that series of recordings? Let me mention it in case. She was not present at school, and I was talking to her, and I approached her her desk, and I looked at her copybook, and her handwriting was different from the one I knew. Karolina, you were not writing it. And the context for it is that the pupils in Wolbrom cheated a lot. And this is, of course, no reason for assuming Karolina's guilt, Karolina Wachowicz's guilt. That's obvious. But, I don't know, this is how the situation developed. And she said, I wrote it. And I said, no, you didn't. No, this is not your right. No, this is not your right. I cannot say it right now. But anyway, as attack. This is not your right. You're lying. Okay, that I wrote it. And this continued for a while. And then she just said something that, she had some slip of the tongue or something else. Karolina, you are lying. Even your tongue gets confused or something like that. And that was the situation basically. And that's hard. I was not aggressive towards her at all. I was dealing only with that particular problem of the handwriting not being hers, in which I was probably not right. This is funny actually, because I myself use different handwritings. So I don't know what it was. It is possible that Karolina had not been okay in some other area, and I somehow sensed it and put it into that situation. But it is not fair because you cannot take one situation into another. But the thing is that no one signaled to me that something very important happened in that class, something very important for Karolina. So I did not have a parent coming to me to tell me, Ms. Rojek, could you perhaps be sensitive once in a while? Or whatever, the head teacher or I had a very good relationship with the headmaster at the time. It might have gone into all sorts of different routes now, because he's in a difficult situation, of course, but and he's not an angel either. then there was really no problem with him calling me to his room and saying, Agnieszka, listen, Karolina Wachowicz, whatever. And I never received any sign of anything, apart from the obvious lack of liking on the side of Carolina, and that is all. But then I remember that I organized, when there was this, we have Orkiestra Świątecznej Pomocy, what do you call it, the orchestra, you know, the hard one, it's famous all over the world. I don't know how you translate it. Anyway, this is a brand, so probably you don't translate it. So this has to do with the concerts played at the time of Christmas, more or less, or actually at the time of New Year. I think it's in January or something weird. Anyway, it has to do with collecting money to support hospitals and so on. And I had this idea that, you know, I don't know, intuition that something like that might happen. I said, okay, so imagine that Wielka Orkiestra Świątecznej Pomocy is forbidden. And now you are to write letters that will change the decision. So this is the task my pupils had, and I remember that Carolina wrote that and she put the heart on the letter. So, I don't know, I really did not realize that there was any problem with us that could lead to Carolina completely destroying my life through creating the deadly mobbing among journalists that resulted in the mass media rape. Of course, I believe that there might have been other people involved, but even if Carolina was still, there's some limit to it, and you know, she's like deadly enemy. So you know, this is like, I don't know, Carolina should go to Syria, I guess. If you get my point, because that's the scope of distractions is done to my life. And I remember there was one situation when I don't know, I don't know, I corrected her or something, and she behaved like, you know, as if I were picking on her, and this does seem like she was, you know, simply. Well, I'm a princess too, but I never had such habits. That's the point. So you know, you can be a princess, but you don't have to be that. And there were princesses in that class too, and they did not behave like that. I don't think that I mean, it's possible that they were not honest with me, so maybe she was more honest. But you know, she knows what she has done, and I believe she has been abusing my mom too. I will sue her. I just don't know how yet. And there was one more teacher, the geography teacher, who would always, she had the sense when I was prepared for lesson, she would ask me, you know, to answer her questions, and I would get fail. And then she would ask me to answer her questions again when I learned, and I would get a very good mark. And in the end, I had a very good mark. So now I have a totally different attitude to mark. And you have this is, you know, today you have a fail and tomorrow you will have a very good mark. And what matters is that you know now. So this is a very good mark, and that's it. And you actually have it written very clearly in the document, in the school document, that you are not to arrive at the final assessment through reaching the average. This is actually illegal. It's not how you do it. I mean, perhaps they have changed it, but when I was a teacher in 2005, that is what the law said. So that would orient us, I guess, in terms of the primaries. Oh no, not yet. In the second class, we started going to the swimming pool. And I also loved getting milk at school. So this was very good too. In the second class, it was obligatory. We all would go to a swimming pool to learn swimming. And you know, this is superb. This is really superb. And I was lucky because they changed it, you know, so that the children would be 1 year higher. Which meant I would go to the swimming pool in the third grade too. I was really good. I could jump off the, oh, you know, and I was swimming quite fast too. I remember my dad was standing there behind the window and looking at me as I was swimming. This is one of the sweet memories. So now about my dad, my real dad, not my stepfather. He would take me at that time. He would take me for dinner. So you know, I had this. This is you know my life. He would take me to a restaurant and we would have dinner. I never had good table manners, I must say, but I loved this going to a restaurant. I miss it a bit, I must say. Of course, now I can't even have a coffee because you know if I think of the 10 zloty that I could spend, you know, this is a lot of food. But this is only 2 tickets and one meal, 2 tickets and one milk, 2 tickets to. So you know, this is only one journey to my mom's and a bottle of milk. Because you know, one way and back. So one visit to my mom and a bottle of milk. But then you can you know you can watch a movie at my mom's. Then later on, I would visit my dad at home, and I remember we would be lying on the bed and he would be reading Brother Grimm's tales to me. So this is the atmosphere. We would go to a cafe to have a coffee and ice cream. No associations, please. And what else? Well, we would walk in Krakow. My dad was a real gentleman in his relations with people. We would go to the zoo, and I forgot to mention that I really like animals. So I got the first photography book from my dad. It was Bloodless Hunting. It was black and white. Sadly enough, I have lost it somewhere, so I don't know where it is. Oh, I guess. Oh no, we would play chess. And he never said it to me, but I have heard from my aunt that he said I was really good. So. All right. So I think I should take a break now. That was probably another introduction into my overall mental construction and the things that I like, the kind of person I really am. uh, this is, I think there were many negative influences in my life, and I must have been, I do sense that I have been steered somehow because, um, for example, when I think of when, then we had a school close to our home, close to where we live, but before we had to walk up the hill, and when we came back, we were passing by a kind of wagon where there were flippers and computer games. The first computer game was a long time ago, so it was 1985 perhaps, 1984, and there were those first computer games. So imagine that little child, little in that wagon playing games. I remember one of the cars, there was one with the car and flippers, of course. But I like the car most. That would be more or less it, I think. Aha, no, there was a priest franchise. And it's an important event in my life because, in the head of the parish, apparently he's still there. So he must be my enemy. I'm not sure if he is not behind the manipulation of Piotr Urbanek, and because there's something wrong certainly happening in the overall relationship between the family. And the scope of manipulation is very powerful. What irritates me most? That most of the people reject what I'm saying. Like, yes, absolutely, you are the most important person in the world, and everyone is thinking on your view. Putin, Obama, CIA, absolutely, because there's no one apart from Agnieszka Roig on the planet Earth. And yes, absolutely, you have been abused by. Fine, Agnieszka. Take a break. So this is like in some cases, like my mom's, you understand it, but in some cases, like some of my university friends, you feel content. And as far as the priest contract goes, I was waiting for my boyfriend, the one I was talking about, in the room when we were playing table tennis. Actually, I was to go to my English classes somewhere else, but I did not go. It was a course, so this was not individual. It was like it was too simple. I mean, it was simple, so um, I did not go there. Which breaks what I said about not playing truant, right? Okay. And then think of your university. Yes. Well, but then we will arrive there. But then there was I was waiting there for him and doing some cleaning in the meantime, and the priest came, and he started approaching me, and as he was approaching me, I got frozen, so to say. So this is a sort of mental paralysis that you have a danger of approaching, and I don't know. You just like hope it won't happen or something. And it did not happen, in fact, in the sense of he did not even kiss me, even he was approaching to to kiss me. But but his the hat on his uh, head, the covering, fell off, and this is what saved him because then he woke up. It's possible that he was manipulated too, because I believe I was, really being fucked up in the sense of, not in the sense of, having sex, but in the sense of someone creating mental disability for me. Due to this original protest against the obligatory association of friendship. Obviously, the priest was the agent, I have no doubt about it. Was an agent, I have no doubt about it. But what happened then was the lock, which remained there for the rest of my life. So, this is the start of a series of situations where you become a victim, simply a victim. That's all. So that would be awful now.